And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100% agree. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
Well, hello to everyone. It is Wednesday, hump day, and the only thing better than hump day as far as knowing that you're on the other side, getting close to the weekend, is the fact that this second edition of Weighing In has come out for the week. We are here to talk about everything in the world of combat sports, mostly MMA, because God knows that's what we love most. What's up, Josh Thompson?
What's up, buddy, man? We got the return of TJ Dillashaw fighting and coming up this weekend. We've got a huge fight next week with Patricio versus AJ McKee, which we'll just skim over real quick probably, and then we'll move on to some other stuff. But, man, I'm pumped. I'm pumped, man. I'm really amped to see TJ Dillashaw get back in the cage. I want to see if he is what he was before, and I want to see if he is what he says he's going to be this time around. There's a lot to talk about and mow over for him.
Well, you gotta look and say 2 years is a long time, man. It changes. And this is where you look at the suspension and people talk about, oh, he shouldn't, that wasn't enough. It's like, dude, that's 2 years off his career. Are you kidding me? You don't think that's enough? He did the crime and he did the time. And that's just, you can't ask for anything more. 2 years is a lot. I'm interested to see how he comes back. Look, TJ is always a guy that prepares well. But Corey Sandhagen is on a run right now, and he is not going to give in to anybody. And so he's got his hands full. If he gets a win against Corey Sandhagen, that is a huge statement on where TJ Dillashaw is in his comeback.
Yeah, look, Corey Sandhagen is somebody who is on a roll, like you said. He's had some great finishes and some great knockouts. He's been looking amazing. And honestly, I think this is kind of a shitty situation for him to be in. He's coming off of a great knockout. He's had great performances leading up to that knockout. And he should have been next in line for a title shot. Realistic, let's just be honest. And the fact that TJ was able to slide in here and jump right into this conversation kind of sucks for Corey Sandhagen.
You really think so?
In me saying that, I think it does.
But he's fighting a guy who wasn't beat for the title. He had to relinquish the title. So he's fighting the guy that was the champ.
No, I understand that, but I want to avoid how much I talk about his use of PEDs. I just want to simply say that we don't know if he was on them when he won the title. We don't know what he was doing during that duration. Regardless, yeah, exactly. But my point is that a lot of people are going to look at him as not being a valid champion. And so in your argument is like your conversation or what you just said was he was the former champion. Yeah, but a lot of people are going to say, yeah, was he really though?
That's he won the title. So people can say what they want about PEDs, and I'm not saying that I think that it's right that someone is doing that. And I'm not saying that I thought it's right that TJ Dillashaw, what he was doing. He got caught. When someone gets caught and they receive a punishment, once they've served that punishment, you've got to go, done. He was the champ.
No, I understand that. I do. And look, the skills, the PEDs don't help your skills. No. But a lot of what he does in there is based off of his output. Yeah. His style specifically is based off the output.
You're absolutely right. And I understand that.
And that what he was using was directly related to output, conditioning, cardio, muscle endurance. This is what cyclists use to make sure that they can go the distance at Tour de France. And so when that conversation to be had, that's how he was able to break a lot of people, was because he could have that pace for so long. Don't get me wrong. There's no doubt he's such a fucking talented fighter. His output, his style, the way he switches stances, mixing up his kickboxing and his wrestling together. He's very talented. That's not going to go away, but the endurance to get it done in rounds 4 and 5, we're going to see. And this is going to be the moment of truth, because Corey Sandhagen, I think, will still be there in the 4th and the 5th. It's going to come to a knockdown drag out. But there's been a lot of not bickering. There's been a lot of conversation back and forth between us having conversation with past people that trained with them when they trained together and what they saw what Corey did against TJ. And TJ, when I talked to him himself, said, I remember what it was like training with him, and I know that I can beat him. And I'm like, well, that was years ago. He's like, doesn't matter. He's like, he hasn't changed in terms of his style of what he's done. Sure, he's tall, long, lanky, all those things. He's like, but I can beat him. He's like, I know I can beat him. But when I talk to other people from not just Alpha Male, but other people that have trained with Corey Sandhagen, they've said, no. It was the other way around. Corey was piecing him up. TJ was a little bit scared to take some shots. TJ was scared to get in there. TJ didn't want to mix it up as much as he normally did against other people. So I'm getting two different sides of the story, and like somewhere in the middle is the truth. But it really just comes down to these are the type of conversations back and forth, the news that you get from one side, the news you get from the other. It really makes this fight interesting, and the fact that TJ's been away for so long, he's got so much to prove. Was it the PEDs that made him successful? I don't think it was, but I think it was the PEDs that helped him get to the point of being able to break guys in the third, fourth, and fifth at a pace that most fighters just couldn't keep up with, and that's why cyclists use EPO and other things to get their muscle endurance and their cardio up to task for things like Tour de France. And that's realistically, like, are we going to see the same Corey or see the same TJ in the third, fourth, and fifth when most people are starting to slow down and settle into the fight? He was picking it up.
But
that's not a skill thing. That's a conditioning.
So now, and here's the sad side of it, because I've heard the exact same things that you've heard about when they trained and what was going on and all of that. It's training. Yeah, it may help one guy feel like he has an advantage, but really in the end, it's when you go under the lights, it's a different story. And so we'll see what happens. But the real problem here is if Corey Sandhagen starts piecing him up and is pushing him in those rounds, people are going to put everything into, there's the difference. TJ wasn't taking something, instead of, look at how good Corey Sandhagen is. Because it could all be just how good Corey Sandhagen is as a fighter.
No, I agree with you. I do. And everyone's going to go right to that simple fact. And here's the thing is it's not true. Like skill, like I said, the skills of which TJ has and his style being the way that it is, if he's getting pieced up, it's because Corey's the better fighter. Where the EPO and the PEDs were helping him was in the third and the fourth and the fifth round, and in terms of his output, because he knew already that he wasn't going to get tired.
Yeah, he went out there. He went out there knowing that I can push the pace. I can go hard in certain moments. I'm going to recover. It's an advantage. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, in this sport, I think if anyone was to try and cheat, that would be something that is very sport specific, especially if you're the champion that cheaters would be trying to use is EPO. Everyone talks about testosterone. Everyone talks about what all these other things. And I'm like, everything that I know of people that have done it or things that I've read up on it is that those are not effective things to use for fighters. The muscle fatigue sets in, they get puffy, they get we've seen past fighters that have been on it from before. You just knew, you're like, all right,
watch him blow up.
You're turning red.
Watch him blow up.
Yeah, your arms blew up and you're turning red in the chest and the face, like everything about you're like, okay, that's So this was different. This is a different type. This is that next level of things, like like I said with cyclists. This has to be monitored too, because it's very dangerous from what I understand. From everything I've read on terms of EPO, blood doping, those type of things, it's very dangerous. I really got into that whole Lance Armstrong cheating situation. And when I was using growth hormone, a little bit of testosterone, keeping his levels peak, and then also using EPO and when what?
That's what I had as well.
That's exactly what he said.
When I was watching, watching his,
I know what you're talking about. You said when you were, which means you were using testosterone.
No.
Those things.
No. If you looked at me, I looked the same throughout my whole career. I always had a little bit of chub on the side.
You had no chub.
I was always leaning the stomach. I had the little love handles. I had those little
Christ. Your idea of a love handle.
Yeah, I know it's true. No, but when I was watching the Lance Armstrong documentaries that he's done, and they were absolutely amazing. Just the breakdowns he was giving you on what he was doing, how he was doing it, and it was just insane to think of all the testing he got tested for too, and still they were like, "Oh, your levels are right on track or right above." Like he had scientists that were coming in, and to think that someone like TJ is just doing it. I don't know if he was doing it himself or he had someone monitoring it, but he had to have, right? I mean, it's just everything I've heard about EPO and other is extremely dangerous, like blood doping, like potentially give you a heart attack.
You're messing with the viscosity and the thickness of your blood. It could cause you a big problem. So it's something, if you're going to do it, you're probably going to have someone monitoring what you're doing. So
you would think, but I've known a lot of stupid fighters that they don't monitor anything. They just do this.
I'll take that.
Let's just try it on myself. Yeah, let me just try it on myself. That's insane. But look, overall, I think skill wise, the fight's going to come down to who has the best skills and who can implement their game plan. Sandhagen's going to I think he's going to stay kind of on the outside because I think he's going to be a little concerned about the takedown, and TJ on top is a dog. He's got good ground and pound. He's heavy on top. He knows how to ride you if you go to all fours. He can sit you to your hip. He does great ground and pound from the side control position. I mean, he's good. There's not really a whole lot of submission threat by Sandhagen. So if he can get to the top position, he'll have success. But for every takedown he misses, that's a notch off of his belt in terms of conditioning. He's going to start to get tired. He's going to start to fatigue, and that also too starts probably mind fucking him a little bit. Like, hey man, when I left, I was able to take everyone down. Now, if I don't get a takedown or two, there's a lot of things going through TJ Dillashaw's mind this fight. He feels like, oh, every time he gets hit, man, I don't recall it being like this. I don't recall, because it was him doing all the output. And so we're going to see if we're going to have the same TJ back, I think probably within the first round and a half.
Yeah, I would say you're about right, but I do think you're going to get a very good TJ Dillashaw out there.
I think you are,
and
too.
Exactly what you're saying. TJ, for the most part, turned into a striker in this sport coming from a wrestling background. I think you're going to see him going back to his roots in this fight. I think you're going to see him actually working at times for takedowns and trying to utilize his hands to get inside, to take Corey down, and to take Corey out of his game. Now, Corey's got a good ground game, though, but he's going to have a hard time in getting TJ off him. He's going to have to utilize the fence a lot, and he's going to have to do a lot of good hard work, which is going to tire him out. But this is as good a matchup as you're going to find that's not a championship fight.
Yeah, I would agree. But like if I was Corey, though, like I was saying earlier, was that he's got to be thinking, man, I should have been getting a title shot next.
I don't go with that. I'm being honest, and I'm saying it this way. Look, Corey is 2 fights off of a loss. Okay, he got beat by Aljo. He got stopped in the first round by Aljo. All right, now great performance by Aljo, not a great performance by Corey. He then came back and had a great performance against Marlon Moraes, and then had a great performance quickly against Frankie Edgar. So this is the type of fight that puts him there. He's got a record of 14-2. He hasn't been in the sport that long, really, to sit there and say, oh, I deserved. There's a lot of guys in that bantamweight division that are awfully good, and he's one of them. And I think if he gets this win against TJ, I do think he deserves. That's 3 wins off of the loss. Makes sense to me, and it's all big names. Marlon Moraes, Frankie Edgar. It would be TJ Dillashaw if he gets the win. So now you have the argument. I deserve that title shot.
How does TJ get it done?
I think TJ gets it done by being a smart fighter in that he uses a lot of inside and outside movement. He likes to bounce around, and he comes in with his volume shots. He doesn't try to put a ton of power on you. Sometimes he does. You can see when he cracks down, but he tries to just put clean shots on you. I think his game plan in this is he's going to do that same thing, but as he's throwing shots and he sees the hands of Corey Sandhagen coming up to do something, you're going to see him transition, shift down, change levels, get into his legs, and start to go for the takedown. And once he gets the takedown, his thing is not to submit Corey Sandhagen, but it is to damage him on the ground. Put him in a place where you can't be hurt and you can do damage to him and you can wear him out, make him carry your weight, make him feel, hard shots of elbows and things where his head's up against the ground at times. I think that's his game plan. I think it's the smartest. If he goes into this trying to just outstrike Corey Sandhagen, that's a tough order to call because Corey's super long. His stand-up is very good. He's got, as you can go back to, Frank Edgar, and he's done to others. He's got a beautiful, jump knee up the middle. He's got great knees in the clinch. He's got great elbows in the clinch. So you don't really want to get, a lot of times I will give the advantage to the shorter guy in a clinch situation as far as doing damage in MMA at times, because the taller guy, he's in a different position and he can't get things off in the same manner. Corey Sandhagen's not that guy. For a tall guy, he gets a lot of techniques and a lot of damage is done with elbows and strikes on the inside and with his knees. So I don't know. I think TJ needs to work to get him down. I think that's his road to victory.
Yeah, I think TJ needs to work on getting him down as well. He's going to have to do it off the exchange, a little bit like how Juan Archuleta does it.
Yep.
The two of them train together. Is he switches his stance, he hits the knee pick, doesn't get it, comes back up with a combination, and then a head kick possibly. What concerns me a little bit with TJ is the height. Is that Corey is tall. He is long and lanky. I know how much everyone loves that. And then we saw what he did to Frankie Edgar with the knee up the middle, and with Marlon Moraes as well. Like, you just see the things that he can do because he's got long limbs, and he's very accurate at what he does. And so when TJ switches stances, he sometimes has his hands down, and he's got to be careful he doesn't get kneed or kicked coming in, dipping his head too much to the left and right. But yet again, I've said this for years about Dominic Cruz. That shit's never happened. So that's the thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. And when you look at guys like TJ, regardless of all those things, TJ's always had a pretty good chin. Outside of the Henry Cejudo fight, where I just feel like is because he cut too much weight, is why his chin was suspect in that fight. But that's the other question we got to answer, though, too. He's coming off of a knockout loss to Henry, and he hasn't fought in 2.5 years or 2 years, whatever it is. Which is a good thing. I agree with you. And remember, he was injured in that fight, too. I think he ended up tearing his shoulders, or he had shoulder surgeries, both shoulders, I believe. So you're talking about how much mobility does he have in his shoulders? What about that cut that postponed this fight? Is that thing, I know it's healed, but how much scar tissue's in it? Will it open up in the first glance? There's a lot of questions to be answered about TJ, not just in terms of, will he be the same fighter? Like how, his takedowns, how are his shoulders? Can he lift? Can he shoot a takedown? Can he get stretched out? I just did one shoulder when I was fighting, and it's been a pain in the ass. Like, in terms of, like, when your arm gets above your head, it's hard to wash my hair sometimes. It's just one of those things. Sometimes you have that feeling where your arm locks out. Every once in a while when I'm holding something heavy, I feel like it's going to slip out, but it doesn't. It just causes real pain. Will he be subject to any of these type of things during this fight? In terms of with Corey, he's very accurate. He's been very active. He's fought top level competition. Sure, he lost to Aljo, but he had a great performance against Marlon Moraes. He had a great performance against Frankie Edgar.
Makes his confidence high.
His confidence is high right now. But if he doesn't stop the first couple takedowns,
that's trouble.
It could potentially end up being a hard night for him, because it's not going to get easier as the fight goes on to stuff the takedowns. And it's also not going to get easier in terms of with throwing your output, because now you're going to be hesitant because you're going to get taken down, as well as trying to be accurate because you're going to try to take his head off. Majority of the time, people, as they start getting taken down, they start trying to land the one hard shot, and the one hard shot ends up being to their demise of being taken down again, over and over and over again. So there's a lot of questions to be answered. Corey Sandhagen wins. He should be next in line for the title shot, I would imagine. He should have been pretty much for this one as well, I believe. And I know it's only 2 fights, but he had dominant performances against really top level fighters. I think he's ranked number 2 right now, I believe, also, isn't he?
I'm not sure where
2 or 3. I believe he's number 2. Yeah. He's number 2. Yeah, you got Peter Yan, obviously, is number 1. So those all make for great fights. TJ was trying to slide up in there, but where do you think they're going to put TJ if he loses?
If he loses, I think he's going to slip somewhere, probably right between, like, a Marlon Moraes, Frankie Edgar situation, somewhere in there. You'll see his name right in there.
You think so? Well, he's already beat Dom, right? No, he lost to Dom.
He lost to Dom.
He'll be somewhere in that. Yeah. Yeah, he'll be somewhere in the Sun South thing, probably somewhere up there. I don't think they'd put him above. I don't think they'd put him above Dom, since he lost to Dom.
Yeah, but that's a long time ago, dude.
Yeah, but he's been suspended for that.
Yeah, but then he came back and won the title because he beat the guy that beat Dom.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I guess he beat him twice too.
He did.
Where's Cody at? Cody's 5.
5, yep.
Yeah. He's got 2 wins over Cody, so probably put him right there in that Jose Aldo
somewhere in there
position.
And if he wins,
conversations to be had.
He's going to come out at number 2.
Yep. And you know what's going to happen, right? Mr. Alger's going to go, you know what? I think TJ should fight Peter Yan.
That's exactly what he's going to say.
Yeah, buddy. Man. Yeah, TJ's back. Yo, you fight Peter Yan. You do it. You do it. Winner. I want you to anyway. And the winner. And I'll fight the winner unless it's Peter Yan. I'll fight the winner unless it's him. Fucking guy. Okay, what other fights on this card motivate you?
Motivate me? The Macy I want to say it right. Chiesen versus Aspen Ladd. That's actually a really good fight. Both young fighters, in their career, but both really good at what they do. Both have heavy hands, so it'll be a lot of fun. But I gotta go. I love Darren Elkins. I'm sorry. Anytime the damage fights, it's gonna be a fight. And the guy he's fighting in Derek Minner is
fun.
That fight has got fight of the night all over it.
Yep. I would agree. I have to agree with you 100%, man. I'm looking forward to seeing the return of Macy Barber. She's got to get on track.
Yeah, she's got 2 in a row,
just right? The confidence isn't what it was. Yeah, 2 in a row. I want to see if she can get it done. Miranda Maverick is good. She's tough. She's got 2 losses as well, 8-2, 9-2. I mean, I want to see Macy get back on track because I think she has the potential of being a star. She just got to get focused and get her confidence back up. So we'll see. Because dropping 3 in a row,
not good for your confidence.
They're not going to be talking about. They're not going to be talking about cutting her, but they're going to be. It's that right there is you go from you being undefeated to 3 in a row. Now you're just going, fuck my life. That's what you're thinking as a fighter. That's really what you're thinking.
You just keep on going. What is wrong here? You got to right the ship. But the other fight that is a really good fight, and one of them really well. Jordan Williams is taking on Mickey Gall.
Yes,
that's a tough fight. Both those guys. Jordan Williams, doesn't have, what people are going to say, the greatest record. He's like 9 or 10 and 4. 9-4 against Mickey Gall.
He's a
really good dude, and he's a tough dude. He's got no give up in him, and Mickey Gall is tough as hell. So I think that's going to be a really fun fight to watch too.
Yeah. The thing with Jordan Williams is that he just sometimes doesn't fight smart.
Oh, no, that's not true. Most of the time. Jordan does
not sometimes, most of the time. You know what I mean? And I'm a huge fan. He is very tough. I'm a huge fan. He can take a shot. He gives a shot. But Mickey Gall to me is very beatable for him. And I love Jordan Williams in terms of that. He's a I don't know what they have classes for it, but he's a diabetic. And so, but it's to the point where he has to make sure he monitors it 3-4 times a day because after training he can go low. If he goes low, he just starts trying to put his sock on his head. You know what I mean? And so he's got to be very careful. That's why he fights at the weight class he does. He can't cut down because he just needs to get food intake in him and he's just not able to do it. But he's not a big guy. That's the shitty part about it with him. I feel bad for him because his body frame could be 70, but I mean, he's got to fade at 85 because he's a diabetic. But he's a stud. He's very friendly, very nice guy. He's a dog. He comes in, he just throws down.
I think
like
he's
you
fighting
said,
at 70
majority
in this
of the
fight,
times,
though, isn't he?
Is he?
I think he is. I think this one is
Mickey Gall is normally a 70 pounder, but so he was fighting at 85 for a while because he couldn't get his weight down because he was a diabetic.
I think I remember looking and I thought this was at welterweight. I could be wrong.
Okay, it could very well be.
Are they on the prelims?
Right there.
There it is, right there.
There it is, right there. Welterweight.
It is welterweight.
170.
All right, well, good for him, man. Good for him. It looks like he figured out the solution to get it done. That's nice. I mean, we're gonna see. Hopefully, it doesn't affect his performance. And I think the week of the weight cut is the hardest part for him, obviously. So for him to get the weight down, but hey, we're gonna see. I want to wish him all the luck, man. He's a good dude, very good dude. Who else on here are you looking at?
Oh, the other one is Brendan Allen and Soriano.
Yes,
Punalehi.
I was just about to point
everyone.
that out.
The one thing that you hear about Soriano from everyone, dude, he can hit hard. And I go back to there was a guy named Drew McFedries. I don't know.
Yes.
You might remember Drew, but Drew fought out of Militich Fighting Systems. He was in the camp with Hughes and all them, and they all would say, "Holy shit, don't get into a stand-up battle with Drew McFedries," because he just had unbelievable power. He couldn't wrestle at all. He just could not wrestle.
It's like podcast Dave.
If he got taken down, everyone's going, okay, this fight's over. But on his feet, at any moment, you knew, bad things can happen. And he did that numerous times in his career. He was just God-given power. And from what I've been told, I've never felt it, thank God, and I don't want to, but Soriano's got the same thing.
Interesting. Let me let's scroll down there. I want to see Drew McFedries. When was the last time he fought in the UFC?
Oh my God.
You were just on there.
2009.
2009. Jeez. Yeah, I was gonna say he came after I did my first stint in the UFC. Before, like, he came after that. He was in that like Koscheck, John Fitch era.
Well, most of the time, if you look at his record, most of them, is going to be losses or submissions. He hit the ground; it was all over. But all of his wins are going to be TKOs or KOs. The dude had cinder blocks in his gloves, man. He could just wallop.
Yeah, he lost to Patrick Cote by TKO, but then that was on the same card as Mike Swick and who was it? Swick and somebody. Barkman, yeah. Interesting. Diaz versus Neer. Solo versus Cote. Jeez.
Just bringing up a blast from the past.
It's so long. I start reading these names, right? Go back.
Man.
Dave, quit flipping around, man. You're killing me right now. Jeez.
I'm having a hard time reading. I can't see clearly.
I'm blind as it is, man. This is horrible. Like, I'm trying to, I was squinting and looking. Yeah, anyways, bright ass halo lights in my face. Stout and Fisher, 2. Stout and Fisher, 1 was great.
Both of those fights
Diaz
were great.
Neer. Silva, Cote was a... Remember Cote hurt his knee?
Step back.
Yeah,
Fight's
man.
over.
Jeez, man. It's crazy. Anyways, all right, so we'll go back to the rest of the card. Go ahead, Dave. You can do it now. Ian Heinisch.
He's tough, man. He's a tough dude, and he's got that grittiness to him. He's got a good wrestling background.
But
Imavov is good. He is good. Yeah.
Tough.
Yeah.
Just a gamer, comes forward, has got good wrestling, likes to throw heavy shots to get in on the wrestling.
Matchup. It really is a good one.
Yeah, it is.
I think what wasn't Heinisch's last loss to Kelvin?
Hermanson, wasn't it?
No, I thought it was Kelvin Gastelum.
Gastelum? Could have been. I thought it was Hermanson, but it could be wrong. It was Gastelum. Good job. Look at the big brain on Big John.
8 years old, still has a memory now.
Jeez. It's crazy. That head's so big, I gotta grease your ears so you can get through the door sometime. Whatever happened to this girl, Sajara Eubanks?
She's fighting on this card, man. What are you talking about?
I know. I'm looking at her right here. I understand that. Whatever happened to her? Like, remember she was supposed to fight for the title and they pulled it from her, and then she got all pissed off and started like spewing hate towards the UFC.
She got pulled because she couldn't make weight. That was the problem, and now she's got everything. She came from the whole group with Lloyd Irvin and stuff. Remember he used to have the house and all that stuff.
I believe so. Wasn't that down in San Diego?
No,
area?
it was like Washington D.C. area type area thing.
Oh, okay.
He had his competition.
Who was the jiu-jitsu coach? Jiu-jitsu coach down in San Diego?
For a long time had Lloyd Irvin as that would be the guy that would come out because like Brandon Vera was with
Got
Lloyd.
it. That's what I was talking about.
But Sajara was, they had a competition team, and Sajara was one of the ones in that, and they had this house, and there was all kinds of these reports that came out that got shut down. But she comes from that jiu-jitsu background, but now she's really more of a stand-up fighter. She stands and brawls. She's physically strong, very strong.
That's what I've heard.
And
she looks it too, though.
She does. And
she just doesn't do very good interviews. Like, when she interviews, she's like kind of always negative, never positive. Like, comes across as kind of like mean. I don't know, not likable.
I don't know.
Not likable.
I've been around her. She's very likable.
I'm gonna say she's probably nice. I'm just saying based on
her nickname is Sarge. And it's kind of
it explains a lot, to be honest.
Come on, man.
It explains a lot.
But she's actually a really good person, and she's a good fighter. She's just had some rough fights. I don't know if you look at what I'm trying to think. She's had a couple of losses, 2 in a row, I think.
Yeah, she lost to Vieira, and she lost to Kianzad.
Yeah,
she lost to Aspen Ladd before that, and Betch Correa. That was probably when Betch was making her run. Because I don't think Betch has won in a while.
Not in quite a while.
Yeah. She had some rough goes after the Ronda Rousey fight. She started kind of like
that was
taking a
that was
down.
the start of the downfall.
Yeah. And then she fought Holly Holm too, I think. She got head kicked, I believe.
Yep.
Crazy. All right. Well, hey, that's going to wrap it up for the UFC card this weekend. And you guys tune in, check it out. I mean, look, realistically, you guys are getting a main event. That main event is a dog. That main event's going to be fun. Everything about it. You got all the anticipation of TJ Dillashaw's return, as well as you got, Corey Sandhagen just chomping at the bit saying, hey, I'm ready to fight for the title. And then you've got that little bit of, not animosity, but the stories that throw you back into the fact that, like, hey, I used to get the better of him when we trained. Oh, I used to get the better of him when he trained. But like Corey Anderson said, somebody knows.
Yeah, that's exactly
somebody knows.
One of them knows.
One person knows that. One of them knows who got the better in training. So we're going to find out, man, when it really comes down to it. But when I talked with TJ, he said, I'm the one that got the better in training. And then when I talked to the people, they said,
maybe not.
It was the other way around. It was the other way around. But that's why we fight the fight, baby. We're going to see what happens. So it'll be good stuff. All right, make sure you guys go to mybookie.ag, use the promo code weighing in. And hey, there's some good stuff to bet on right now. Game 6 is tonight. If you guys hurry and hustle up, you got Game 6 of the NBA Finals going on tonight. Probably on right now. It might be on right now. Who knows? But guys, go there if you guys want to do some prop bets, man. Use the promo code weighing in. Also, too, if it's the first time you're logging on to the mybookie.ag, and using our promo code, they're going to give you a little extra spending cash as well for being a loyal customer to us at weighing in as well as to them. So we appreciate you guys and use that promo code and, hey, make some money.
Good luck to all of you.
If you're going to take this bet, you got TJ Dillashaw at plus 155 and you got Corey Sandhagen at minus 190. I might have to take the dog.
See, that's where you go. I always go if you have a fight where either guy can actually win the fight. Why am I going to put more money out to win less money when I have the same opportunity? Yeah. Really, if I believe one guy's going to win, then it doesn't matter what the odds are. But if I look at this and I do think Corey should be the favorite because he's been fighting, and I think that that's a big plus unless you're Dominic Cruz, and then he proves that's not true at all. But Miesha Tate, she just proved it doesn't really count either. So maybe TJ Dillashaw will come out and do the same thing. But I always say, man, if you've got a guy that's a dog and you get a 150 or above, that's the guy I would take.
Well, you could also do the under.
What's the under on it?
Yeah, because the over on it is plus 140 and the under is 170.
Yeah, but the under is how many rounds?
3.5. Sorry. 3.5. I left the fucking
there you go.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
Good job. Over 3.5 is plus 140 and under is under 3.5 is minus 170.
No, I might go into the over.
I would take the over. To be honest. I think it's going to go 4 and 5 rounds.
Good.
I think it's going to go 4 and 5. I think TJ is going to take him down a couple times, and he's going to squeak out some rounds that way. That first round is going to be the telltale of who's getting the better in training. And if TJ can get the ring rust off and jump back in, get used to taking shots by little gloves, by top talented fighters,
Like,
we're not talking about practice, man. We ain't talking about practice anymore. This is the real shit. So, all right, guys. And then let's move on. What you got for us? Matt Mitrione released by Bellator following third straight knockout loss.
Matt Mitrione.
Yep.
Guy.
But I hear a but coming.
But you can't, in his last 5 or 6 fights, he doesn't have a win. That's kind of puts you in a position where you're not going to be kept no matter where you're at. And even as a heavyweight, and people talk about heavyweights, heavyweights are rare. Matt still got speed. He's got good hands, but everyone knows the blueprint on beating him is to take him down if you can. And he's had two losses in a row. Tim Johnson and Tyrell Fortune, where he believes he got hit. I thought he did get headbutted. It was not intentional. It was what we call a clash of heads, and maybe that is what ended up putting him in that position. But if you get into that clash of heads and you're able to start screaming out to the referee, that's a headbutt, then you're able to fight. Get yourself back up. I hate to say that in any way. I'm not saying anything bad about Matt, but it's like he lost because it happened again. I think he just lost his mind over it.
Yeah, I've got a lot of experience with refs being in the wrong position for headbutts.
Talk about that.
And so my idea is anytime you know that you got headbutt, make sure you know you got headbutted, because even when you go down, the ref doesn't know what the fuck's going on. So, and that's what happens sometimes when the ref's not in the right position. So
Would
as soon
you know
as you
what
get
the right position is? Explain it. Go ahead, let me hear it. Let me hear what the right position is.
The position that sees the headbutt, that's the right position. It's pretty simple. Whatever position it takes for you to see the damn headbutt is the right
I
position.
Guess maybe you could say that your suggestion here is that I could go back and say, well, if you're so stupid that you stick your head where another person's head is and you take a shot, then you're just an idiot.
Well, in Matt Mitrione's case, with
which one?
Who was
Johnson?
the first one? With Tim Johnson. That was a clash of heads that should have been stopped. And like you said, this last one though with Tyrell Fortune, he kind of initiated it by dipping his head down into it. And so I understand where you're going with that. But regardless of that, I say if you know that you were headbutted and it put you down, just roll over, face down, grab your head, and you start kicking the mat really hard, and the ref will stop it. And they're going to go back to the replay and say, hey, it was a headbutt.
Stop it and
now
say
just
you lost.
done. Collect your check and move on.
Stop and say you lost. So nice job at kicking your foot. Yes.
What do you mean? Not,
no?
John. No, that's the only way we can get you refs that are in bad positions to stop the fight. Just turn over on your belly, grab your forehead, start kicking the mat, and just start in pain. They knew that there was no shot landed. How did you end up on the ground?
What are you talking about no shot landed? You can see the shot landed.
The headbutt landed. That's what landed, John.
Not yours. It was a left hand. Ask the judge. I asked him.
Nah, you even admitted in the court of law to the commission that the headbutt is what dropped me.
I do believe that.
But look, let's not talk about the past. Let's talk about this fight right here. Let's talk about Matt Mitrione. Matt Mitrione, second headbutt. It's frustrating.
Totally.
I mean, I only had it happen once to me. Ref was just in a bad position. Total beginner. And so total beginner move. But Matt, though, in this situation, dipped into it a little bit. Should have kept fighting. I don't know how hard it was. Like mine, I was seeing like triple vision, and obviously it wasn't apparent to the referee. But in this situation,
you should have been good then, because the way you drink, you're seeing triple vision all the time.
I know the way I drink. John knows I can put a whiskey down. I can do a bourbon or a whiskey. I get that shit down fine. God, I love it. All right. So, anyways, look, if you haven't won 6 fights,
it is.
What do you think is going to happen?
It's a shame because
heavyweights are a little harder to come by. So that's why they try to keep them on. But I mean, it was just time. It was time. So, all right. Yeah. All right. Managers agree. Paulo Costa versus Marvin Vettori matchup.
I like the managers agree.
Great. The managers agreed.
You know what that
wonderful.
means?
Can we get the fighters?
You know what that means? Diddly squat.
Don't know yet.
It doesn't mean anything. A promoter has to put that fight together, and that promoter would be a guy named Dana White. And if he thinks it's a good fight, he'll do it. If he doesn't, he won't.
Dana gives zero about what managers.
Zero about what the managers
Unless you're the manager that manages Conor, Khabib, or people that actually have influence, that manager now has a little bit of clout to say, you know what, we kind of want that fight. Can you make that fight happen? Because that's their cash cow. But right now, Vettori and Paulo Costa are not cash cows. Don't get me wrong, I think it's a wonderful fight.
No, it'd be a good fight.
I'd love to see that fight. It'd be a great fight. Yeah, I would put it up there as being a great fight. I mean, it depends. If we see the same Vettori that fought Izzy and the same Vettori and the same Costa that fought Izzy, it could be a boring fight. But I don't think we're going to see that. I think these two guys clash. I think they step in the center of the cage, and they just get down. That's what I think. I think they're just going to stand toe-to-toe and just throw. I think we're going to see a little bit of that Yoel Romero, Paulo Costa type style
Take
fight.
That one.
With probably less wrestling. That's going to be a great fight. So what do you think?
I think the same thing. I think it'd be a great fight if they put it together because it's both guys. And I'm going to say, yes, I think that Paulo Costa had a poor performance against Izzy. He did not come out and perform in any way that you would have expected.
So did Vettori, though.
I wouldn't say that. Vettori was going after him. He just wasn't able to catch him. But he was going after him. So I take nothing away from Marvin Vettori in that fight. He lost, yes, but he was giving it everything he had, and he was going after him. He did not have a bad performance based upon anything other than Izzy made a miss.
Yeah. It's frustrating. It's exhausting, too. Well, every time you miss, it's frustrating. It's exhausting. Your mind starts fucking with you. You're like, shit, I can't hit him. Now I'm getting tired. Shit, he's going to start piecing me up, and boom, boom, knockout. Done deal. I mean, overall, though, I'm kind of pumped to see if they get that fight to actually go through. It'd be a good fight. You know, obviously, I think it'd probably be a main event. And in a 5-round fight, I don't know how, because Paulo Costa cuts so much weight.
Paulo Costa in a 5-round fight is not a good thing right now, in my opinion. He's
not a good thing. I think 3 rounds. He's got to do something about that. All right, what else you got for us, Dave?
All right, jump into some fan questions.
Yeah, let's do some fan questions, buddy. Oh, by the way, I want to remind all of you guys, if you guys haven't followed our shorts channel, our weighing in shorts channel, our clips channel, go there. The link is down below, and you guys can click that link. That'll take you to the channel. Hit the subscribe button there. Also, we're going to be filming our show right after this one that's going to be headlining that channel. So it's called Wayne Interjection, where it's a little bit of a kind of a kickoff of like another some shows that you've seen on ESPN, where we talk about some topics and we just riff on it for say a minute or two, and we just give you guys some total propaganda BS lines. That is just fun to get you guys to chomp at the bit. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna have a little fun with it. We're gonna dress Big John up as somebody else as a character, and he's gonna play that part. So it's gonna be fun. I cannot wait. I can't wait. So, all right. Well, let's get into these fan questions, buddy.
Sam Unsung asks how good Michael Johnson actually is. He has wins over Dustin Poirier, Tony Barboza, and Go Artem Lobov, but some weird losses along the way. What stopped him from becoming one of the top lightweights or featherweights? Hashtag Instill.
I really think it's a little bit of fight IQ.
Okay.
I look at it as that, like, look, he's piecing people up, and he needs to stick with that. Sometimes, like here, I'll give you the Josh Emmett fight. He was dominating that fight. He kept putting himself in harm's way. Like, circle, stay on your bike. You had a half a round left. Just circle, stay on your bike, man. Stay away from him. He's got power. Keep your defense up tight. Don't overextend on things. It just, like, things like that, like, you know that he had a chin. You pieced him up the whole fight. Nothing ever happened. He just was still walking forward, trying to land the big punch. That's when you got to fight smart. Keep your defense on point. Stick the jab in the face and move. Stick the jab in the face and move. You know, and that's it. I mean, that's really what it came down to. Like, little things like that. I mean, in terms of the other ones that are most recent, that's a confidence thing. Losing to Josh Emmett the way he did, and then Stephen Ray, and then Thiago Moses, and then, and then Clay Guida. Like, those are all, like, once you start losing, your confidence isn't the same. So even in the gym, it starts affecting on how you perform. You start doubting yourself in every little thing you do. You start realizing you're getting hit every way in every other direction, and you're getting touched by guys you shouldn't be touched by. I mean, and he's what? He's 35 years old. I mean, Josh Emmett knockout was nasty.
Oh yeah.
That was a nasty, nasty knockout. And then he has a decision loss. Then he got leg locked by Thiago Moises, and then he had
that was just a mistake
decision
in
loss
itself.
to Clay.
You're talking about fight IQ.
Yeah,
it was a mistake. Got caught in a situation, but Michael Johnson came into MMA more of a wrestler. He had a good wrestling background, and he's a good athlete. And his stand-up now is really sharp. But he gets into these situations, and I saw it when he was in the Justin Gaethje fight, when Justin was fighting his first fight in the UFC, and Michael was the guy they put him against. Like, he was lighting Gaethje up at times, and he had Gaethje in real trouble. And it was those moments when he should have taken his time and kept a certain distance and spacing, and he's running in to try to finish it because he is pressing the action. He's trying to get that finish. And I can't blame anyone for that. I don't sit there and say, oh, you shouldn't do it. Yeah, you shouldn't do it. But it's when you know that you can get that finish right now, it's tough not to. And he just ran out of gas hitting Justin, because he hit Justin a lot. He put a lot of energy out in those rounds. And then as soon as Justin was able to take away his front leg, then bad things started to happen for him because his movement stopped. And as soon as his movement stops, that's when Michael Johnson becomes average. You know, he's a very elusive fighter. He's hard to find. He's hard to hit. But if you can take away some of that movement and you can find him, that's when he becomes more average, and he's not the great fighter. But he's a super talented guy.
Yeah, he is. He's very accurate with his strikes.
He is.
You know, what happens is he puts more output, though, than his conditioning can keep up with, and he starts leaving himself open as the fight goes on. He's fast, he's explosive, and we've talked about fast and explosive athletes. They tend to slow down in long duration of fights. And so he's like I said, that comes down to fight IQ. Like, you have to know that, like with the Justin Gaethje fight, every time he rocked him, he smothered himself. Didn't give himself room to pick and choose the shots, you know? And I guess I want to look at, and if you guys want to go back, okay, and I know I bring it up a lot because I like to rub it in, okay, but the Nate Diaz fight, kick to the head, boom, he backs away. If you notice, I didn't just rush in and start blitzing. I stepped up, and there was 2 clean shots that landed clean against the fence, and that's what put him down. It wasn't the head kick that put him down. It was the 2 shots, and they were accurate and on the button. You know what I mean? And so those are the things that Michael Johnson is sometimes when I talk about fight IQ, and I talk about this for all fighters, not just Michael Johnson, is that when you rock someone, slowly track after them and pick and choose your shots. Touch them. Do a Nate Diaz and Nick Diaz type situation. Is they just tap, 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 and then when they rock you, then they put the combinations together with power. That's what's made them so good for so long, is that they don't hit hard, but then when they do catch you with something, boom, okay, I've hit you 2 or 3 times. Now I've turned your chin. Now I hit you with a hard shot. And then they start picking up the power. They don't go hard all the time. And that's kind of where Michael Johnson, he's always going hard. He's always going fast and explosive, and tends to slow down, leaves himself open as the fight goes on. And so when he had the Justin Gaethje situation, he had rocked him several times, smothered himself, and wasn't able to get the finish because he just blitzed so fast that nothing was really clean landing. You know, and so those are the type of things that I'm talking about, and I'm talking about fight IQ. What else you got?
Next question is from Danger Mouse, who asks, for Big John, what's the best insult you've heard in the cage? And for Josh, what's the best insult banter you've heard while fighting?
The best insult? Oh my God, that's hard to think of. Come on, the best one. You know. You hear a lot of things at times, but you know it's always funny when you have a fighter who comes in, hasn't been doing a whole lot of talking, but their opponent is, and then I've had them, and I'm not going to say who it is. I'm sorry, but all of a sudden the fight starts and they hit their opponent that has been talking much. They say, "Talk now, bitch." And I just always love it after they're hurt. They're doing the stuff and just stands there, "Talk now, bitch." It's like, I was like, man. Yeah, I agree with him. That's a good comment right there. So
simple.
Very simple.
It's very simple.
So
I never had anyone that really talked to Nick. I mean, Nate did, but I actually brought people in that would talk shit to me while I was training, and they always come in like in the last round when I was exhausted and they were fresh, and they would talk shit to me and try and fuck me up and piece me up, and it would frustrate me even more. So when I went to the Nate fight, it was one of those things. I was very prepared for him to start talking shit. And so when he started talking after the very first kick, he's like, "What, bitch? That's it? What, bitch?" Like, he kept saying that to me, and I was just like, "Oh, geez, here we go." So I was prepared for it. But the one thing that I wasn't prepared for, and it wasn't shit talking, it was more just back and forth conversation that really threw me off, was KJ Noons. Is that he just talked to me like, "Oh, that one almost landed. Oh, nope, missed. Oh, nope." And then after he hit me, he's like, "Oh, gotcha. Next one's going to be harder. Watch, just pay attention. Here it comes." And it was like that kind of thing made me constantly think that he was so relaxed. And I'm thinking, man, he can fight like this fucking the whole time. And I just didn't have a good performance because he threw me off my game. It really came down to that. If you guys go back and watch that fight, I was exhausted after the first round. Exhausted. I was so tired. I could barely keep my arms up. I was like, I had no energy, man. I came out the second round. I was like, barely keep my hands up. And Bob's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" And the only thing I can think of is I hydrated improperly. I just didn't hydrate properly or whatever it was, but I just had no energy. I was flat. And everything was like a lot of work. But the talking made that happen even more. it just catapulted it into more. I just felt even worse and worse every time he hit me. I was like, you fucker. And every time it took me more and more to get a takedown, I was like, shit, if I don't get him down, man, he's going to fuck me up on the feet and talk to me about it. This is horrible. Those are all things that were going through my mind while we're fighting. I'm like, shit. So I wouldn't say it was banter. It was just more that threw me off a lot because he was so casual about it. It wasn't anything. He didn't take anything. It didn't seem like he took anything serious. Like, yeah, whatever. Okay. Oh, it's almost there. Oh, no, you're not going to get that triangle. No. Like, he was just talking to me, and that just threw me off. So I'd say KJ Nunes. What else you got?
Next question is from Francisco Cruz, who asks, I'd like to ask you both from your different perspective, what's the one rule in the unified rules would you like changes? That was too broken English for me. What is one rule in the unified rules would you like changed?
The 12 to 6 elbows.
Yep. Dumbest thing ever.
It doesn't even belong. It doesn't belong there. But if you want to talk about like other rules, I kind of feel like you should be able to get 5 minutes for an eye poke. You know,
absolutely not.
But I don't really give a shit.
And the reason I say no is, unfortunately, and Josh knows this is true, fighters will cheat. And you would like to be able to say, and any smart official, any smart referee, look, if you got eye poked, I would be the one, as you're saying, I'm good to go. And I'd be saying, yeah, you know what, just hold on, take a little bit more time. I need to go over here. I would be buying time, knowing that I'm supposed to get the fight going, but I'm going to give you as much time as I can so you hopefully get back to as good as you can be. And I did it too many times, and but to say that you're going to give the time to the fighter, unfortunately, can't do it.
Yeah. Because
the fighters will actually, they'll say they got poked at times when, even when they really believe they did, but they got punched. And it just doesn't work. Giving the fighter the control is usually a way for bad situations to come about, as far as time taken, unfair. Just like sometimes it's unfair, I will say, in reverse of when I see an official who doesn't give the fighter enough time with an eye poke, it's unfair. You need to give them more time. You need to be smart about how you do it. Just because it says in the rules that once the doctor says the fighter can continue, you must restart the fight at that time, that doesn't mean that I need to do it that second. I can always have other things that I need to take care of. Okay? Whether you believe I need to take care of them or not, I'm going to take care of those things to give that person extra time.
You said something that resonated with me right there. You said when you give the fighter control, that it's usually they're pretty much going to cheat. Yeah. There you go. Okay. So it seemed like when you said that, it just put Aljo's head right in my mind, just like right away. It just was like, boom. Anyways. Okay. Next question.
Next question from Barack Oganja asks, Josh and John, if you were fighting, would you rather have an incompetent referee like Mazzagatti or incompetent judges? Cheers, fellas.
I'd rather have incompetent judges, because I'd rather have the ability that I'll take care of the finish instead of having someone in there that's going to screw me over. You can get screwed either way, but one, if I finish fight, I don't need the other ones. If I have a bad official, there's been things done in fights. Like I've seen everything, and
that's not true.
Yeah, it's true.
You haven't seen everything. I mean, you've seen me naked, but you haven't seen everything.
Seeing you naked was enough, man. But seriously, when you talk about fights, I've seen guys tap, and the referee, doesn't stop it, and the opponent does because he feels it, and then all of a sudden the guy's doesn't. He starts going again, and the guy who got the submission is now going, hey, wait, and now they're getting overtaken by the guy, and all of a sudden the referee stops it and gives the other guy the win. And you look and you go, what are you doing? Or, and I've seen it all. I've seen guys knocked down with beautiful shots, and the referee comes in and stops it, and then lets the guy stand up and says, fight. I've seen everything. I've seen so many bad things that a bad referee can ruin the sport. Bad judging, yes, it's not good. But what people don't seem to understand with the judging is many times, and I'm going to get ripped on this one, but many times the judges are right. The commentators are wrong. The judges actually got it right, but because the commentator said it one way, everyone believes that's the way it's supposed to be. So they'll say it's controversial when there's no controversy. It's clear. It may not be the way you look at it, but the way the judge can do it, as far as round by round, they can only score those individual rounds. And so you'll have someone that wins the first round just by a little bit. They win the second round by just a little bit. And the third round, they kind of get pieced up bad. And the other guy's coming on, and the other guy loses, they win, and everyone says the judges did a shitty job. No, they did what they could do. They're working within the rule set that they have.
Well, I'm going to go back to last weekend for the Bellator card when you and Sean Grandy were saying that Denise lost the fight when you guys were obviously wrong because you guys were just commentators trying to skew the judge, trying to skew the audience. I had it for Denise Kilds, but like John and I talked afterwards, and we had the deciding round was number 2. I had Denise win in the first and the fifth, and then John had Juliana win in 2, 3, and 4, and I had Juliana losing 2. I had Denise winning 2. So, anyways, but that's typical of K-side commentary trying to skew the viewers at home into believing what they want. But yeah, I got it. I understood that. So,
but see that's
it was
that's
great
part of the
stuff.
reason they have you up there where you're not scoring because you can't.
Yeah, but it was a great. Here's the thing, in terms of. But you notice they always come to me for the last call. No. That's why they always come to the desk for the last one.
It's all about listening to you.
I was the last one to give my opinion on who should have won that fight.
And
I was
again,
the last one.
It was
That's
wrong.
Why. They said let's go to the expert. So it came to me. They came to me. They said let's go to the expert. Came to me. It was good. I mean, look, but like you said, this is why I really wish we could implement the half point system scoring because a lot of these fights are extremely close, and so I would like to see not always just 10 10-9s, 10 8.5. That would be good instead of just always 10-8. I know it would probably make things a little bit more complicated in the math department, but look, I'm not a judge and I don't have to add that shit up, so it doesn't bother me. But somebody there with the calculator's got to be on hand. Okay, because I'm telling you right now, I think the half point system would be amazing because some of these fights, like you were just saying, they are so close. Rounds 1 and 2 could be so close by a narrow margin of winning, but it's still a 10-9 round. And then the person that wins the third pieces them up, and then it's not enough. And so if it was a half point scoring system, it'd be a lot closer, if not the other way around. So I would like to see those implemented. It's never going to happen, or at least John doesn't seem to so. So I'm going to kind of lean towards John's way of thinking on this situation.
I've tried.
But I would like it.
What you're talking about is this. First off, 10-10 is something we just don't see unless we have a round that fighters come out, have a little bit of action, and there's something that happens that's a foul, and they're going to stop the fight. They'll have the judges sometimes have to render a score for that round, and nothing really happened. They're going to put a 10-10. But you just don't see 10-10s, and commissions don't want 10-10s because there's always something that usually separates the fight, especially in a five-minute fight. The rounds that are closer to 10-10 are the fights that are horrible, where the fighters aren't doing anything. Those are the ones you'll get closer to 10-10.
Derek Lewis and Ngannou.
Right there, horrible. So really, if you're looking at it, you got 10-9, 10-8, 10-7 happens every, decade, but very few, there are very few 10-7 rounds out there. We've had them. I can name, a couple of them, but
was the Frankie Edgar first round and Gray Maynard, was that a 10-7?
No, it wasn't scored a 10-7.
No,
it was a 10-8. It was the way it was scored. But if you go back and you look, you can say that should have been a 10-7 round.
Yeah. I mean, I think he dropped him 3 times and then had him wobbled 2 or 3 times, two times outside of that.
So it's,
that was
you can look at it, and it's close, but 10-7 was, if you remember Cyborg versus Finney, it ended up being a Dan Finney. It ended up being a 9-7 because Winslow took a point from Cyborg, but that would have been a 10-7 round. But
she's not reffing anymore, is she? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just had to get that out there.
Some things.
There used to be a female referee. What was
Kim
her name?
Winslow.
Kim. I keep wanting to say Kate.
Could have been
like the actress. Kim Winslow. No, she did not look like Kate Winslet. Sorry. All right.
So, but the thing to think about is,
sorry.
again, you got 9, 8, 7. You got 3. But if you had a half point, you can go 9-5, 9, 8-5, 8, 7-5, 7.
Yeah.
You're talking about the use of 6 points compared to 3. Those differences in giving the judge the ability on a really close round to say that's a 10-9-5. Okay, that could be the difference in who wins and loses the fight at the end. So that's what it would be nice to be able to clarify. Oh, this is a really close round. We give it a 9-5. This is, this is a clear round. We give it a 9. This is, you know what? It's not quite a 10-8, but man, this guy was put it on him and did all this damage. It's an 8-5. It would be nice.
Yeah. I would agree with you.
Wow. I know that hurt.
like swallowing vinegar. All right. What else you got for us?
Next question from Jason Fong, who asked, Josh, is there a martial art discipline you wish you learned more when you were fighting?
Well, since John and I talked about this, and it's, 2 shows ago, I think, it's the worst discipline in the world called judo. Okay, I would have never have wanted to learn that. So I'm kidding, man. I mean, honestly, let's just be real. I probably would have wished I would have done some sort of sambo. So like whether it was, there's a lot more upper body throws, there's a lot of foot sweeps involved, judo style throws. Okay. But the striking comes along with it. Back in the original days of sambo, there was a lot more leg locking, so when people were like, oh, when I heard Thiago Moises say that he's working a lot of leg locks for Islam, I was like,
yeah, no,
bro, not a good idea. He's just physically strong. He got to like a heel hook position, but it wasn't even close. Islam was just chilling there. You know what I mean? Like it was just one of those. I just know that position on all those guys, and they're so keen to it on like when people get towards their legs and just how to smash and shut it down. Anyways, but I would say probably sambo, to be honest, because it mixes everything up together and it does it off of the movement.
We have a mutual friend by the name of the American Gangster who says there is no such thing as sambo. So how are you going to learn something that there really isn't?
Yeah. That friend also has never lost a fight and never been injured.
I love me some Chael.
I don't take anything he has to say to heart. I love me some Chael. Peace on him. He's funny, man. But I'd probably say like a sambo. I'd say more of a sambo tradition because it was MMA to begin with. I mean, that's kind of what a little bit of striking, a little bit of wrestling, a little bit of judo, upper body Greco. I mean, I feel like it was one of the more original mixed martial arts that has been around forever, no matter what Chael says. All right, what else?
AQA asks, what do you think of Deron Wynn? He's neither tall, long, or lanky, especially for 185. I don't think he'll be an elite MMA fighter.
Deron Wynn can wrestle his ass off. That's the one thing I'll tell you about Deron Wynn. And yes, he's not tall, long, and lanky, but his wrestling is so good that he can compete with being a guy who is not long. He is short. He is, he is stout. He's strong as hell. And he's a throwback to he's the guy that goes in with one specialized skill set and beats really good guys. Now, that doesn't mean he can't be beat. He can be, and he has, but he's a tough ride for anyone because his wrestling is so good. If he gets on top of you, you got problems.
Yeah. My concern with him is that I believe if he spent time with a nutritionist and truly dedicated himself, he'd get to 70. But here's the thing. I don't know if he'd be the same person. That's the problem. Like at 185, at least, he already kind of gets tired, but he's been working his ass off for this next fight coming up. I can't remember who he's fighting, but he's been working his ass off. And so he looks good physically. I just don't know if it's going to translate because look, I feel like he's kind of the same way of a little bit of a Mike Van Arsdale, not in terms of
you're comparing Deron Wynn and Mike Van Arsdale. They look exactly the same.
What not in terms of looks. Good thing we don't base things off of looks a lot of times. No, I mean, like with Deron, like he's obviously shorter. He's 5'6", 5'7", 195, 200 pounds. the thing with him is he's so fast, so explosive. His double leg is extremely fast. And the one thing he does possess is he possesses power in his hands. Problem is he wings everything so much. If he threw straighter punches to get it there, they'd probably land a little bit more. He's had success with his hands though as well. So that's kind of that wrestling kryptonite where they fall into that. They fall in love with their power. And all of a sudden they want to start standing. Then he lost those 2 in a row. And then he went back to a little bit of the wrestling. He's got to just make sure he's in wrestling shape the whole time. But he's also got to learn how to ride, not just in terms of riding like in wrestling. He's got to ride. He's got to learn how to keep his hip pressure in. He's got to learn how to sit up in posture and do ground and pound. He's got to learn how when people escape and turn their back to them, to sit them back to their hip. He's got to learn how to do all things. And I've always said this about wrestlers. Mike Van Arsdale didn't know how to leg ride. Like maybe he did in college wrestling. I don't know. But when you got into a fight, wrestlers are like extremely afraid to put their hooks in. I'm like, what the are you guys doing? Like the way Duran's body is, if he puts the legs in and he just freaking gets heavy on you, those guys aren't getting up. And he's got vicious ground and pound if he gets on top of you. So I want the best for him because he's a teammate of mine. He's a good dude. I mean, I've coached him, cornered him, worked with him a bunch of times. He's a great kid. I'm excited to see what he's going to have in store. He's 32 years old. But, yeah. Didn't Phil Hawes used to be with Bellator?
Yeah.
Long time ago.
Not that long ago.
Yeah. So is that a good? You tell me. Is that a good fight for him?
Phil Hawes has learned how to strike where he was having problems before, but he comes from I want to say he was a JUCO national champion in wrestling. So he lives a lot off his wrestling. Super strong, very explosive guy, but he can't. Different
Phil Hawes than I was thinking.
He cannot wrestle with Duran Wynn, but he's gonna.
No.
Phil has really come into his own as being able to. He used to just blow up in the fight because he would go after, and if he didn't get rid of someone, then there was a problem. He would get tired. Now he's learning how to pace himself and everything. So it's a tough fight for Duran. It's going to be a tough fight for Phil. So it's a good matchup. Nice job by Mick and Sean in putting that one together because that's actually a good matchup.
Yeah, I remember his fight with Kyle Dawkins, Phil Hawes. I remember they were just kind of leaning against the fence, a lot of clinching, not a lot of work going on.
You remember Dawkins hurt him in the first round.
Yes, he did. Yep. So we're gonna see, man. I mean, it's gonna come down to who can wrestle better. I know Duran can wrestle better, but can he hold him down? That's the other question. And if you got to keep taking people down, man, you get tired. All right, what do you got next?
Next question comes from Eli Baltodano, who asks, how would McGregor fare with the top 45ers today? Volkanovski, Ortega, Holloway, and Yair.
It's a mute point. Like, why are we even talking about it? He's not going to ever make 45 again. He can't fucking make it. He's older. He doesn't want to. He's a fucking millionaire. Why the fuck would he put himself through that torture? Get out of here. Like, you've seen from his last couple of performances, doesn't even look like he wants to train anymore, let alone make weight at 145. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, John. You tell me, buddy.
How would he fare? He would fare just fine. This is what people need to figure out. You may love Conor, you may hate Conor, but Conor is a phenomenal athlete and he's a good fighter. Now, is he unbeatable? No, but for the most part, there's nobody out there that's unbeatable. There's only been one guy that's really done it, and he's a remarkable athlete, but he's not going to be able to get to 145. He's way too big. But he'd been in there with Max Holloway. You saw what happened in that. That was both early in their careers, but that was a good fight. It went the distance, but he was able to get the best of Max in that fight. Volkanovski would be somebody because of wrestling. Volkanovski likes to utilize his wrestling. He's got a good chin. He's got power. If he could put Conor on his back, he'd have a chance of beating Conor by using good ground and pound and good positioning. So I could see Volkanovski giving him problems, but Conor could beat Volkanovski. The guy that I would be worried with, really with him, Max now would be a different fighter, and I think he would do great. And I think Brian Ortega would be a problem for Conor.
A real problem.
Brian Ortega has got very good stand-up. He's very clean in it, and he's got an incredible submission game, and he will jump into all kinds of things and just put you into trouble right away. I think he would be a hard fight for Conor.
Yeah, I think Brian Ortega is probably the most. I know he's earned all the the accolades and everything from his fighting abilities, but I still think he's
He is,
underrated.
because people don't believe in him.
Yeah, they don't believe. I'm like, what was there not to believe him? He's got a fucking granite of a chin. Remember, it was his eyes swelled up that made him stop the fight. It wasn't him. He would have kept going. He's a dog, and he's got a chin on him. And if I was to say he was going to fight Conor, I think he beats Conor. You know, because if the fight was ever to go to the ground, he'd be all over Conor McGregor. Max would have to stand with Conor. I maybe he could take him down, but it'd be a lot of work. You know, I don't know. I would say that I'd probably give the full advantage to Brian Ortega over Conor. And then I'd probably say Max next, and then I'd probably say Volk last. You know, in those terms. And I feel like Volk doesn't get the respect either. And a lot of that disrespect comes from me. And I don't know why. He's fucking good. Like he's not. I'm not disrespecting
Here's
him.
why, when I look at Volkanovski, I say, if he was fighting Conor, if it was on the feet, Volkanovski's going to get beat. He's just as far as length and the way that Conor counter strikes, he's going to have a real hard time in that fight on the feet. But if he takes him down and he utilizes the wrestling that he's good at, he can create a lot of problems for him. So it just depends on where the fight went.
Is he a good enough wrestler to keep getting him down?
I don't know. You know, to keep getting him down is the question.
Yeah. All right. What else?
Next question from
How many more we got? Four more?
Yep.
Okay.
From Ian Reffel asks for John, what was your very last match you refed and how did you feel about it? Tell us about the fight.
Fucking Josh Thompson headbutt. He loved it.
I absolutely, it was the greatest moment of my career to watch. The last fight I did as far as MMA was Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Edson Barboza. It was December 30th, 2017. That was that for a memory. Not bad.
Was that a main event?
That was not the main event. That was the co-main event. But
who was the main on that?
That's a good question. Since I didn't do it, I don't really remember.
Who was that?
Trying to find the card.
Find the card.
Was Cyborg and Holly Holm.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Cyborg Holly.
So, that was a fight where I will tell you this. That's the one that told me, I had refereed Khabib many times, but that was the one that I said, there's no one that's going to stop this guy. He was that dominant against a guy in Edson as far as Edson's ability in the stand-up. He's fast and he's accurate. Man, he's technically just incredibly good. And Khabib showed him zero respect. He was walking him down, talking to him the entire time. You talk about a guy that would talk during a fight. Khabib was hysterical to listen to because he would sit there and he says, stop running. You know I'm going to catch you. Stop. I'm going to say, we need to fight. Let's fight. And he would just keep going. And when you get him on the ground, I'm going to, please just tap. I'm going to smash you. and then he would talk to people in the crowd. And, but if you watch that fight, the one thing that I really got out of that fight was Edson Barboza, because he was just demolished in the first 2 rounds. And, you could say that there were 10-8 rounds, and he had no answers. And when you go back to your corner and your corner doesn't have any answers for you, and you have no answers, and I got to go out there again. He went out there. He gave everything he had, no quit. It told me everything I needed to know about Edson Barboza as far as, man, he's got heart. He's one of those guys where, there's always that time you look and say, man, you can get out of this. You can just, you gave it everything you have. You can get out. And he's the guy that goes, not going to do it. Man. Can't do it. And so
you're just not mentally that way. He's not built that way.
No, and I had nothing but respect for him. That's why I love the guy as far as watching him now. And I'm so happy he's doing great at the 145s. But Khabib is just a different beast when he was inside the cage. Different guy.
Mm-hmm. What else?
Next one from Shamil asks, best feel-good moment inside the octagon for BGM and Josh.
What was your best feel-good moment in the cage?
I don't have any feel-good moments. I didn't win anything. Everyone else was winning.
Well, it must be nice to watch other people.
Well, that's the problem is there's so many feel-good moments, but it's also feel-bad moments. because I feel really good for one person and I feel just absolutely crushed for the other. I'm not going to tell you, there's many times I feel really good for this person and I'm really glad this person lost. Okay, let's just be honest. That's
fucking Betricky.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's what I was thinking of, right? But no, seriously, there's ones that you go, this person's acting like an ass and stuff, and when they get, they get their shit handed to them, you go, yeah, you deserved it, But there's ones, Holly Holm and Misha Tate. I was so happy for Misha, and you could see just the unbelievable feeling of I did it. No one believed in me when she beat Holly, but I felt crushed for Holly because Holly had won that fight basically. She was going into the last round, and she was coming off of beating Ronda and had everything going her way, and she got caught. She made a mistake. She let her get her back and got caught and got put to sleep. But she went, and again went out like a warrior. Never tapped. She did. She was actually punching at the end.
She was still throwing punches when she went to sleep.
And it's like, man, I felt so bad for her, but I felt really good for Misha. So it's that both sides.
I don't think I've ever told anyone this, especially not in a public forum. I think John and you and I have talked about it a little bit, but probably the biggest feel-good moment for me, which no one really knows about, like Scott Coker knows and Bob Cook knows, Javier Mendez knows, but my dad passed away 10 days before I fought Dwayne Ludwig. And so it was like one of those things. I went up to handle all the funeral service stuff, and then to come back down, I was doing my camp. I did 5-8 days of camp up there, came back down. I had a week back at AKA. It was like 10 days, and then I basically went back down and went to Fresno and fought Dwayne Ludwig there. For me, it was a sense of stress relief to get the win, and that was probably my biggest feel-good moment. People were like, oh, what about your world title? I feel like Mike Tyson, man. The belt just sits in my fucking cabinet collecting dust. It's junk. As much as I can say it, the words mean more to me than the actual belt. When everyone talks about, I talk about the Nate Diaz fight a lot, is because that's the one that most people talk to me about. That doesn't mean shit to me. I really look at the little things. The other feel good, I'd say number 2 would be the Hermes Franca fight. Is I always wanted to know if I was a fighter, and I was winning the fight. And when I was winning, I always knew, okay, when you're winning, sure, everything's going your way. But in that fight, I got dropped in the 3rd round, and I wanted to know if I was someone that would take my punishment, like you were just talking about with Edson Barboza. Like, sure, everyone's great when it's going their way, but when it stops going your way, do you just turn over and into the fetal position and tap and give up? And I figured it out in that fight that I wasn't that guy. And you guys can see it even at 38 years old when I fought Tony Ferguson. That never crossed my mind was to give up. And I got my fucking ass beat in that fight. You know what I mean? And so those to me I know they don't seem like feel good moments, but for me, Edson Barboza, like you were saying, he probably went away going, yeah, but I'm not a fucking quitter. And I got to tell you, it means a lot, I think, for people that are true athletes and true fighters. We're not fucking quitters, man. Like, it never crossed my mind. If you guys go back and watch the Tony fight, I was trying to jump to his back, all bloody and sweaty. Couldn't see shit because blood was in my eyes. It was like red fog all the way around. But I was trying to jump to his back. We got into a scramble against the fence. I thought I had it. I'd slipped off, didn't get it. But there was never a moment I was like, okay, fucking give up. Never. So those are moments in my career that I look as feel-good moments. Those are things that kind of push me now. Like when I'm doing commentary, when I'm doing this podcast and it's getting late and tired, I'm like, psh, this fucking shit's easy. Like compared to that shit. So I would say those are some of my feel-good moments, What else?
Next question from GeoTurtle7 and asks, for Big John, what's your opinion about the quality of UFC referees nowadays?
First off,
be very careful.
First off, there are no UFC referees. Yeah, that's something that people use all the time, and it's like there are referees that work UFC events. All right, if you're going to say a UFC referee, there's been a couple. I was one of them, Mario Yamasaki, because we worked for the company. Even before there was Zuffa, Mario was. We didn't have athletic commissions and stuff. So when you say UFC referees, I will tell you this. The guys that are working the UFCs now, as far as the mainstays, overall, they're outstanding. They do an outstanding job. It's not an easy job. Everyone thinks it's so easy. Go in there and try to do it, and you're going to see exactly how difficult it can be. Now, does that mean that they're perfect? No, there's guys that are going to make mistakes. I talk to all of them all the time. I try to help them out as much as I can. And one of the things, I talk to them about when it comes, if you make the mistake, hey, figure out what the mistake was. Let's talk about it. How are you going to fix it and move on? But don't sit there and say, oh, I didn't make a mistake, or try to cover it up by making an excuse. You do that, it's the same as the fighter trying to make excuses on why they lost the fight. It's bullshit. It doesn't make you any better, and it only actually puts you in a deficit. So, all the top guys, the Herb Deans, the Mike Beltrans, the Mark Goddards, the Jason Herzogs, they're all outstanding. They really do a good job. Now, do I think that there's ones that are a little bit better than the others? Yeah, there's ones that are better right now than the other ones, because they do just the little things better, and they make better choices. But, same as the whole thing, that Josh and I are always joking about with his fight against Patricky is, it doesn't matter. There's times it doesn't matter who you are. You're going to miss something. Something can happen in there. You can be in the right position, and you will still miss it because it happens on the opposite side of where you decided to be, where you could have been luckier and been on the other side, but there's reasons to be where you're at. But, you always try to take those moments and say, could I have been better? Yeah, I could have been better. So they're all good.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is, though, John, to touch on the Patricky fight, is just to be honest, you were the one that came up to me and said, hey, I'm sorry I missed the headbutt right in the cage. You said it was a headbutt, and it was like you just said a second ago, was refs need to make sure that they own up to whatever it is and not cover it up. And the same thing goes for fighters. Oh, he did this. No, you didn't. You fucking lost. Okay. And that's really what it comes down to. And then even when we went into the court, when I went into the appeal process kind of thing, even you said I missed the headbutt. It was a headbutt that dropped him. The commission, they weren't trying to hear any of that shit, because that's not what they do. They just sit up there, collect their fucking check like a bunch of fucking pansies. Anyways, and so I knew going into that situation, and you told me also there's 99.99% chance they weren't going to overturn it, and I said no, but I still want it just to be on record. That's it. It is what it is. I knew it, but I still took my time, spent my money, went down there, and to fight that thing. So, but you came up to me right in the cage right after and said, man, yeah, I missed it, man. It was a headbutt. My apologies. And hey, it is what it is. Moving on. Next one.
Whoa, what happened to my voice here? Last one is a good one to
it's
end on.
It's so embarrassing. Doesn't say shit, and all of a sudden now can't even speak. Come on. And 99% of the people can't hear you, or they can't make out your accent. Let's go, buddy.
Last one from G Coffee 223 to end on a good note. Is it hard being the best MMA podcast? That would be my question.
Oh, jeez.
Tell me, brother, is it hard?
Fuck no, it's not hard, man. Our fans are freaking amazing. Have you not, our comment section is blown up with nothing but positive vibes. Sure, we get the couple of the stranglers that are in there, those people. We understand. You guys are newbies. You'll finally fall into the positivity that we provide on this channel. You guys will start falling in, and our crowd and our fans will start taking over. And they're going to start educating you guys on how we try to respect everyone. Sure, we are very upfront and we are very honest about situations. And that's for both of us. But I will say for myself, I'm very much a homer. So if you guys listen to us, I will always I will always stick up for my friends. And I will say that they're going to win, even when I know they're not going to win. I will still say they're going to win. So if you guys don't understand that, then it's okay. But I'm letting you know up front, that's the type of person I am, okay? You know what you're getting. When we talk about Islam or we talk about other people, that we know, when DC was fighting, I had nothing nice to say about Stipe. Sorry, man. DC's my boy, and that's the way I'm going to be. With Islam, I'm sure Thiago Moises is a great guy, but he's not on Islam's level. That's what you're going to get from me every single time, guys. So I'm just being upfront. But is it hard? No, it's not hard at all, because our fans are absolutely amazing. You guys are great. You guys are buying up shirts. You guys are hitting the subscribe button on our Clips channel as well as our regular channel. we've been growing, man. We're happy and we're pumped. And there's some big news potentially coming up here in the next couple of weeks. And I'm pumped to announce it. So I'm hoping we get this thing all done, man. We're amped. But there is one thing I did want to say, though. John, you and everybody, you answer the question. I'll finish. I'll wrap up the show with it.
Is it hard being the best podcast? I don't know, because I don't know what is the best podcast. There's a lot of great podcasts out there. Now,
there is.
I like to have fun and I joke about everyone, but I think there's some great guys out there. There's great people putting out, all the stuff. If I'm going to go to anyone, I give it to the godfather of podcasting. Joe Rogan is the reason that everybody and all of these podcasts are really out here doing it, because he's the one that led the way, showed people, helped people, got them started, did a lot of that. So I just have fun doing what I'm doing. I enjoy talking with my partner, Josh. I have a great time. We battle all the time, but it's not, I know you people think that, he wants to kill me. He probably does, but I do want to kill him too. No, I love it, because we do this when we're in person. And we're sitting next to each other. We do the same thing, and all we do is talk about fights and future fights and what could be and all these things. It's fun, and so the fact that I get to sit here and talk to you and you guys like it, that's the best.
John, you can thank me
there
later.
You go.
And you guys are welcome.
You're the one that
for
started
the
this one, baby.
Ooh, yeah. But hey, you know what though? Like I was working with Dave, and you and I were working together, and was just like, you know what? We're sitting around too much talking about stuff. Let's make some money trying to do it. So, hey, we're on our way. We're figuring it out.
Somehow.
We're getting there. We're figuring it out. Also, go to ProWrestlingTees.com/weighing-in. Use the promo code ANDSTILL. Pick up one of our shirts. There's lots of them to choose from. We got some new artwork coming out here shortly. Hopefully it gets done in the next week or two. It's been weighing. That's the St. Patty's one. That was a limited edition. Pick that one. You can't pick that one up anymore. It's limited edition. So I think Podcast Dave is wearing it also. But
we called each other. Hey, what are you wearing, Dave? He goes, I'm going to wear the St. Patty's. That's what I'm going to wear.
Since we're the only ones that ever rep the t-shirts.
Oh, wow.
He's
wow.
trying to get a side gig.
Yeah. Okay, so on next Wednesday, Big John and I will be on Food Truck Diaries, Brendan Schaub's Thick Boy show. At Food Truck Diaries, we're going to be on that show talking all sorts of stuff, whether it's UFC events coming up or the Bellator event coming up that weekend, whatever, but we're going to be on there. So make sure you guys tune in. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. But both of us will be on there together, talking, dropping some knowledge, man, with Mr. Thick Boy himself, Brendan Schaub.
Thicky boy.
Hopefully get that all going. Yep.
Thicky boy.
I like Thicky boy. All right. I think that's pretty much everything. What do you think there, Dave?
Looks good.
Looking good.
All right, hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button down below on our channel. Also hit the link below that goes to our Weighing In Clips channel, or Weighing In Shorts channel. Go there. Hit that subscribe button as well. We're going to be doing a show right now after this directly for that channel. It's a little fun thing that we're doing. It's about 15 minutes long. Won't be any longer than that ever, because it's going to be on our Clip channel. It'll be a special show that we use for that Clips channel specifically. It's just fun, hot topics we'll be ripping on. And hopefully you guys enjoy it, man. So hopefully you guys hit that subscribe button on the Clips channel. John, what else you got, buddy?
You got to check out the Clips channel, and later on we'll come up with even more great info for you guys. So we will see ya.